Am I connected again? Hopefully I am. I got disconnected for the 10th time today. So that's been fun. I'm trying to see if. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can connect on to. You see and hear me again? Okay, good. Give me a second. And I'm just going to uh, switch my Wi-Fi. This keyboard, I mean, this computer is being really finicky. So, my dog. Oh boy. I sure am online for now, and it's not going to be an issue again. Hi, Sarah. Nice to see you. Are you the Sarah Anderson? I know there are so many now. No, they're not. There's just one of you. I'm trying to my my camera is again being very annoying today. I don't know why. For some reason, Merry Christmas. You are she. All right. I need to see what's happening here. Configure video. No. Deactivate. Activate. Let's see what's happening. Is my camera working now? No, it's not. You cannot see me moving around. Don't you just love it when everything just keeps breaking down over and over again? No, nobody likes that. Okay, I'm going to disconnect and I'm going to connect again. So hang on. Okay, hopefully I'm still online and you can see my hands moving and I'm connected and hopefully no more glitches. I keep saying that like 10 times and nothing really changes. So, Sarah Anderson, if you're still online, Merry Christmas to you too. Okay, Greg is here. He can see my hands moving and he can hear me. That is wonderful. So I'm connected on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. So there are three platforms. Maybe that's the reason why things keep breaking down on me. I've kind of been on a forced break from the studio. So I'm getting into making mugs after a while. All I have been focusing on was shipping out orders that were placed of stuff that was ready to ship. With all the stuff that was going on, I didn't have, I had to slow down stuff this holiday season. And Greg, as I was talking about appliances, uh, after the microwave and the dryer, and after Casper's surgery, when he came home, a week after him coming home, our furnace gave out, and we had freezing temperatures right then. And because of COVID, it's really hard to get um, parts for replacement. And our furnace was 24 years old. So it wasn't the highest efficiency one. It was time that it get replaced. So we were like, okay, let's get it replaced because getting replacement parts for it would take 6 weeks. And I'm like, okay, we can't spend like a month and a half with a dog in recovery at home, plus it being freezing temperatures in winter and having no heat. So we said, okay, let's put a new one in. Even the new ones, most of the contractors are like, oh, it's going to take at least 4 weeks to get a new furnace in because there's a supply issue. Except for this one company, which is very well known in the area, and they have their own stock. So they said, we have stuff in stock. And so they're like, so we have stuff in stock, so it's available. The problem with them was they are short on labor. So that's the reason why they couldn't schedule us quick enough. So, but it was still just a week. It was a very cold week. We did have space heaters that we used in our bedroom, so that the bedroom was comfortable. And you couldn't plug more than one space heater on one circuit. It used to trip the power every time. So one space heater in our bedroom was good enough for that room. But our living space and kitchen are like an open design, so and very high ceilings. So it's really hard to keep those areas warm. And if you put two heaters, it would trip the power. So we are basically like, okay, there's no point heating the living room and the kitchen. Let's just stay in the bedroom for a week. So Casper was restricted to his pen, and we were restricted to our bedrooms. Uh, and occasionally, I put one of the space heaters in my study, uh, just because sometimes you need a break from being out of a room. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. Uh, once the day came for them to install everything, it went pretty smooth. They came in exactly on time. 8:30 is when they said they would come in. They were on time. They said it would take till 4 o'clock to set up, and they were done by 2 o'clock. Actually, 1:30. 1:30 or so, they were done putting the new furnace in, new ducting, and everything. And yes, it was very cold. It was 30 degrees outside, and in the house, it was 50 degrees everywhere. Our bedroom was a nice toasty 68, but the entire house was at 50 degrees. So even when we went to the kitchen to grab something, we would wear our jackets, sweaters, hats, and mittens, and everything, and go in the kitchen and get a glass of water and come out. Uh, One of the things you don't realize actually, well, one doesn't realize, at least I didn't realize when things are so cold, is that how all your dishes and like all my pottery and all the stuff that we use for every day, mugs, bowls, plates, become ice cold in the cupboards. Like it's 50 degrees in the house, everything was freezing cold. So even if you took hot coffee and put it in your mug, it would just turn ice cold instantly because the mug was so cold. So then we were microwaving our mugs first with hot water and then putting our coffee in it. Same thing with the plates. You would prepare a hot meal and you put it in an ice cold plate, it would turn cold instantly. So we were, you know, pampering ourselves with hot plates so that we could just have a warm meal. But yeah, like when the guys came to set it up, they set it up really quick, which was nice. Yeah, and there is a risk, like Greg says, there is a risk cracking cold mugs too. So you have to be careful. Uh, but in any case, once they set up, 1:30 they were done. It still took 5 hours for a house to reach 68 degrees. Um, so it was still toasty for a good 5 hours after they were done because everything needed to be warmed up. And during this that entire week, um, when Casper came home, all of that, that's like peak time for me to do production work in the studio for the holidays. Everything came to standstill. I couldn't do anything. I was like, no, it's not happening this year. Holiday season will be in January. Yes. Okay. So I was trimming mugs. I'm done with those guys. Those are some jumbo mugs I was trimming. Now I have to start forming the mugs. And this is where some of my other tools come into play. Big rolling pin and my rib. And I need this sponge here. Perfect. So yeah, I never wish on anyone being without heat during the winter time. And here it doesn't even get that cold. Like we just hit 30, 32 degrees that week, but it wasn't fun at all. Two, three, twos. Okay, so I need this guy, which is to score. You can see it has tiny teeth down there. That's what I use to score. On this side, these are my knit pattern mugs. You all have one of them. I know Greg has, Susan has. Susan probably has one of my very first ones. When I think I was at that time set up on Etsy. I wasn't selling on my website then. I just had my Etsy shop. And I also remember uh, shipping it out to her without realizing it was the Susan B. Anderson whose podcast I used to watch. Oh, Greg says that he's drinking out of one right now. Great. I don't know. Knitted mugs are perfect for the winter time. But yeah, I shipped Susan's mug, and I think it was right after I shipped it. I kind of had a feeling it was her, or she posted about it in her podcast or something. And then I went like, oh my goodness, I didn't make the connection. I'm that oblivious sometimes. And of course, at that time too, everything was made to order. So she was waiting for 4 weeks to get her mug. If she would have told me, hey, Susan B. Anderson here, I'd be probably like, maybe, you know, rush her order a little bit sooner. But it just takes time to make these things. So now this is the way the walls are formed. The bottom of the mug is going to be attached later. Yes, Susan is too sweet to try to use her fame. Yes, she is. She could have, but she is a wonderful person. Oh, Greg, by the way, you don't know the reason why I'm mentioning Susan so much because she was, or maybe she still is, watching on YouTube as well. So she is watching on YouTube, or at least she was. And Susan, the Greg I'm talking to, is Knitting Daddy. So everyone is connected. Everyone knows everyone. I met Susan in person for the first time when I went to Stitches one year, and she was there as well with her yarns, amazing yarns, and all her wonderful patterns. It was lovely to see her there. Though I wish we could have hung out more, but when you're sitting on your booth by yourself, you barely get a chance to step out. So Greg says Susan has been so encouraging to me with my baby pattern, writing, podcasting stuff. Oh, that's really wonderful. Yeah, she is. She's a very amazing person. I agree, Greg. I started a podcast too, but I just kind of we were going pretty strong. So it was me and Nancy from Schmutzerella Yarn. We started a podcast on YouTube, sharing all the things we do. Because she does a lot of other crafty stuff as well. She dyes yarn. That's her main thing. But we spin, we knit, we weave. She does like diamond painting, and I've started quilting quite a bit. Oh, Sarah Anderson says she met Susan at SSK in Tennessee a few years ago. Oh, that's wonderful, Sarah. Sarah, I think I met you first time at Madrona, right? Now I'm wondering if my eyes were tricking me into thinking whether Sarah was Susan all this time. Yes, no, Madrona. Yeah, I know. And yeah, Sarah, you have heard this a million times how much I've loved your spinning book. I still use it as a Bible, and it's just so much more interesting how you can use those basic formulas. Like what the way I have used your book quite a bit is I look at your basic constructions of certain yarns, and then I'll go ahead and substitute uh, one of those plies with a core spun art yarn or something like that, and it's just takes the same recipes in a whole different way. So, so Greg says that he first met her at TNNA in DC. Oh yes, we first met. That's true. Yeah, I met Greg at TNA. I remember the preemie hats, and I gave you prizes for your podcast too, right? Oh, thank you, Sarah. It means so much to me. Now, Sarah, are you based in Washington and you're enjoying my quilting too? Oh, goodness. I'm such a new quilter, but I have been enjoying the quilting so much. It's, and like last year, during the pandemic, I was like, okay, I think I'm going to try my hand at quilting since I do have the time. and I tried some traditional quilts and I enjoyed them, but like I like the quilts that came out from it, but it just felt a little weird. Okay, so Sarah says that she moved to Montana this summer. Oh, nice. Montana must be getting really cold during the winter, though, right? Yeah, I tomorrow I'm going to be making some art yarn, so it'll be fun. Sarah's sitting with knitting, watching it snow, knitting mittens for your granddaughter. That's lovely. 23 degrees right now. Yeah, I don't want to be in that space. I I cannot do cold very well. But at the same time, I don't like very warm weather either. I'm very good with our Washington, mid 60s to 70s weather. That's perfect for me. Yeah, once it gets like freezing, I'm fine as long as I'm inside and I'm warm and I have all my woolens with me. But if I have to step out in the snow, I don't like driving in general, and driving in the snow is like the last thing I like to do. So I was talking about some art yarn I'm going to be spinning tomorrow. This is with Susie Brown of the Tiny Studio Creative Life magazine and the Fibery Goodness group, which is on Facebook. And it's going to be her, Evanita. Many of you know Evanita. If you're not spinning, you know Evanita. And Debbie Held, who's also a co-editor of the magazine. Um, and I'll be there, and we'll be doing some holiday spinning. And what I created for that is a very interesting bat, which actually I just posted on Instagram. That's the bat I'll be spinning. That bat has Falkland, Merino, silk, sisal fiber, um, cotton neps, Angelina, um, Firestar. I think Firestar and Angelina are the same thing, but they were from two different sources and they were slightly different colors of white. That I said cotton naps already, right? Yeah, cotton naps, and yes, and the highlight thing was I put in bits of batting from my quilting because you get all these tiny strips of bat, cotton, and poly mix batting in your while you're quilting, and there are these tiny strips which all go wasted. They were nice and soft and everything. I was like, let's just throw that in there. So everything has gone into that art bat, but it's all white. So it's a very textured white bat, which I will be spinning with them. But I am going to be having uh, an element of color added in, and you can watch us spinning live on Facebook tomorrow. I think it is at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So if you look at the Fibery Goodness Facebook page, I've put links on my post as well where you can find us. We'll be spinning those. Well, I'll be spinning my yarn. Susie, I think, is doing something with, uh, she's calling it Santa's beard. So probably there are going to be locks involved. So I'm curious to see what she does. I think Debbie is doing some plying with some of her spindle spun uh, fiber. I don't know what Evanita is doing, but we have a good chat. And being part of the artist in residency program last year with that group, I've learned so much about spinning and specifically spinning art yarns. So I think it'll be fun. So anyone wants to guess what my uh, added element is going to be? My color element for my holiday yarn. Any guesses? Yes, Sarah, you should join in. If are you on Facebook? I don't know if you're on Facebook, but if you are, you definitely should. I think you just recently joined Instagram too. Yes, it is red. There is red. There is it's the Christmas colors. It's red, green, and gold. And I'm attaching those elements to my ply thread. Oh, you're not on Facebook? I think Susie eventually puts the video up on YouTube as well because she does record the whole event and then she puts it on YouTube, so you can catch it there. And I think I'll be able to share that on my YouTube channel as well. So, so yeah, but so I'm adding those elements, but the way I'm adding them is they are in ribbon form. So I'm essentially adding ribbons, bits of ribbon to my ply thread, and that's going to be plied in with the core spun white back. So I'm kind of expecting it to look like little bows of ribbon peeping out through the yarn. At least that's what the plan is. We will see how successful that goes. But it has taken me close to 3 hours of trying to make that ply thread with the ribbons on it. It's not a yarn I recommend people to make. Some of the yarns I make are so time consuming. And then, you know, I'm sure, Sarah, you get that question asked whether what do you use it for every once in a while. People really question what my yarns are going to be used for because they can be quite out there sometimes. And I spend way too many hours making some of them. All the time. So Sarah agrees with me that she gets that question too. What do you use this yarn for? And I that's the other thing I absolutely love about your book is there are examples of what you use these yarns for. But at the same time, once you start going really extreme with like beehives and boggles and weird elements like ribbons added to your yarn, then people really question what this yarn is for. And then all you have done after, 3 to 4 hours of work, you just have like maybe 15 yards of yarn. They really wonder what it's for. So Sarah says that she usually spins regular yarns and we knit a lot. That's really good. I do like I have my default yarn. I'm doing a sweater spin since summer actually. It could have been done a lot sooner. Like I was done with half of it, like within I think a month or so, and then I didn't spin on it for quite some time, and I started spinning on that again. Yes, I agree, Sarah. The fancy yarns are great for wrapping packages. Uh, I like them in weaving a lot too because I do some sari weaving I started doing last year, and just you just need like few inches of it here and there, and it just enhances your weaving so much as well. Yeah, so I am doing that sweater spin. I've started my sweater spin again. So that I do on my lender. and it's usually that's the wheel that sits in the living room next to the kitchen. And my morning spin with coffee is usually sitting on that wheel and spinning that. Yeah, and that is one of those combo spins in which I have taken 8 braids of fiber, which was mostly mixes of blues and purples, and there are some pinks and yellows and oranges thrown in, but its majority of it is blue and purple. And so that I'm spinning, I've just broken up the braid into tiny, tiny bits, and so it's a lot of fun spinning it as well because if you do come across the small section which you don't like too much, it changes quick enough. Plus, each one is a different fiber, not too different. Most of it is like pulver silk. There is some 100% silk. There's some merino, Falkland. There are a bunch of fiber dye testing that I had done, which I didn't like, and then I just dyed the whole thing purple and I put it in there. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. And I'm I have close to a little more than 2 pounds that I'm spinning, and I'm more than halfway through. I'm I'm doing total 8 bobbins, which are around 4.5 or 5 ounces they hold on those bobbins, and I'm done with 5 bobbins, and I'm starting my sixth bobbin soon. So that's definitely nice to see happen. The whole thing, since there is such a lot of variation, I'm planning to do a 3 ply so I can get a more or less consistent yarn throughout, which would be worthy of a sweater. And I essentially don't even like horizontal stripes in sweaters, and that happens a lot when you spin, dyed fiber braids, and if you're doing a regular top down or a bottom up sweater. The pattern I have is more like a jacket hoodie, which is knit side to side. It gets cast on at a sleeve end, and you knit it all the way, and then you knit it to the other end. So with that, what happens is your stripes turn vertical, which is what I wanted. I'm short, so having vertical stripes helps. So I'm hoping that would work. And it's actually a hoodie jacket, so there's a hoodie attached to it. So hence, I'm spinning that much yardage for it. That's what the plan is. And since it's kind of like it's not like a very fitted jacket, it'll be nice to it doesn't means of course I'll be gauging it and everything. But if the gauge does change slightly because of all the different fibers in there, I think it'll still work out because it's going to be a slightly looser fit anyway. So I'm hoping it works out. But yeah, that's what the plan is. So Sarah agrees with me. Sarah says it's a good plan. So I'm going to stick with it. I kind of arrived with that plan to do that because I was doing a lot of these regular spins with 4 ounce braids of fiber, and then the only thing I found good enough for doing a 4 ounce thing was a hat, or maybe take two of them and do a scarf or something like that. But it's just not very appealing. So what actually ends up happening in my case, I don't know if this happens with you, Sarah, but I land up spinning a lot of singles, and I just leave them as singles on my bobbins. different colorways, whatever it is, and I label them and everything. Put in notes on, which wheel I spun them on and all of that. And I just leave them as singles till I kind of have a plan of what project I want them for. Then I'll go ahead and apply maybe two together or three together, or use one of the singles as a ply thread for an art yarn or something like that, and just use it like that rather than, spinning a 4 ounce braid and then just plying it on itself or something and then going like, what do I do with it? So last year, before I started the sweater spin, it was very interesting trying to figure out. Like, I was trying to pull together all kinds of fibers to see what would work for a sweater spin. But I was like, I means of course I did have enough fiber for it, but I felt like maybe I should use some of the singles that I already have and then just spin a little bit more so I have enough for a sweater. But at the same time, I really wanted to have a good long spinning project. I said, no, I'll just do something separate for the sweater. I was discussing this with a friend, and she said, okay, why don't you pull out the singles that you already have, and maybe we can kind of decide what kind of pattern works with it and what happens, like if you need something more, what color it should be, and then you can accordingly spin that. I'm like, fine. I pull out all my singles, and I have close to 32 ounces of singles on bobbins already. Probably more. No, definitely, it's twice that because I counted 16 bobbins, and there's at least 4 ounces on several of them. Some of them have a little less than 4 ounces, but yeah, I already had enough for a sweater spin actually. So that was kind of embarrassing. But you'd think that would change my mind to go ahead and spin that. I mean, ply that up and make my yarn for the sweater, but no. I said, okay, those can just stay as they are, and I'll just spin more for a sweater. So yeah, I'm still spinning for a sweater. I think it was, yeah, there were 16 bobbins total, out of which I did have 32 ounces, which is like 2 pounds, for a sweater's worth which would all go together. Like they were all greens and blues. So I could just use that and be done with. But no, I did not. I'm sure there must be people wondering why is this guy working on clay and just talking about spinning all the time or quilting all the time. And when I'm quilting, I'm talking about the clay. That's where the mind wanders. Cannot help it. And when I make mugs, I usually make in batches of like 50 mugs at a time. And well, it takes me a good while to make them, but I need to build up on inventory. So that's what I'm working on. Sarah, if you're still online, are you coming to Red Order? I don't think I saw your name on the teachers list this year. did sign up for my booth. I was in two minds. I mean, I was going to do it for sure, but with Casper's surgery and everything, we kind of got a little thrown out of, a regular plan, which had been thrown off, for a whole year, 2 years now. Oh, Sarah, you're not coming this year? Oh, well, hopefully the year after that then. So yeah, I was really thrown off. You're trying to get settled in Montana and enjoying being a grandchildren. Yes, grandchildren really trump everything. I was talking to my parents are in Dallas. They have settled there because my brother there has kids. So they have just like, oh, the grandkids are here, so that's where we want to be. And you still have a studio to set up. It can be quite a process. But it's not, I think, like if somebody was to tell me to set up a fiber studio instead of clay studio, I think a fiber studio is a lot easier to set up than a clay studio. I have my kilns, I have such a lot of heavy equipment. Though, fiber equipment, if you have looms and a lot of wheels, that can also add up to being a lot. And how many wheels did I count last? I had one, two, three, four, five. I have five wheels. And I never thought I would be one of those people with five wheels. So Sarah Anderson says, I've never had one before, so starting from scratch. It's harder than I thought. Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, with spinning, you kind of need your wheel and you need your fiber supply. And then the whole concept of studio comes in is when you kind of want a restricted area for you to do the things what you want to do. And plus, when you start adding equipment like, uh, drum carder and one of those people. Yeah, I I s- I didn't have much of a fiber studio setup. It was always, my clay studio, which is where I'm working at right now, is my big studio space. Pretty big for me, but there are potters who laugh thinking that I make all the stuff that I do within 300 square feet, which is very tiny for a studio. But all my kilns and my storage of the pots, the shipping, all that kind of stuff is in the garage. This is actually was supposed to be the family room on the lower level of the house, which I've converted into my studio. But this is my working studio space where I make things. That is 330 square feet. So it's not really big. And as far as Fiber Studio goes, I just have my study on top. So I 3 years back is when I converted that study space into a fiber studio. So it's now more of a fiber studio and less of a study. And you have huge amounts of fiber. It's scary but very warm. Well, I have the same issue. I have most of my fibers in the study, though there are big batches and bundles. What do they call them? Do they call them bundles? I don't know. Those really big bundles of fiber that I have, which are sitting in the garage, which are basically undyed fiber. Uh, some I got because I found a good deal somewhere. Some was gifted to me. Some I purchased with somebody else so we could get a good deal. So we could pay wholesale prices for stuff like that. And it's just accumulated. And and then last year, someone gifted me. She was retiring from her spinning and all her dyeing stuff that she was doing and everything. So she sent me a bunch of fiber, lots of locks. Most of them dyed, and everything for like art yarn something. So that's like very art yarn specific. That is like two huge boxes full, and that's sitting in the garage. I almost stopped spinning after I received that because I was like, I don't even know where to begin to tackle this. So I just completely stopped spinning. I was like, it's just too much for me to think what to do next. So I'm slowly digging into that box, and all of it needs to kind of be processed in some way. Um, like I need to make bats out of it or something in order to spin it. Like it's not just like braids which I can just pick up and spin. Some of them are like already bundled with bits of top and some silk and Angelina in packets, like she belongs to some fiber club, and she would get things like that, which you make a bat out of and spin. So there are a lot of bundles like that. I just need to go through it and see what I can do. Yes, it is overwhelming. Exactly, it cannot be done right away because she sent me two boxes which are 15 pounds each of fiber like that. So that's 30 pounds of fiber. That's a lot. Huge boxes. And 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 she had told me she's sending me one box. And I received the one box and I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is so much and this is amazing and all of that. And then the next day I received two more boxes. One of them which was similar to that. And she's like, oh, I don't know why you didn't get all the shipments the same day. She shipped them all together, but apparently they staggered the shipment. So I got essentially three boxes. Two of them were 15 pounds each of all this amazing fiber. And there was another box of Romney fleece that was all clean and carded and made into big bats. And I think that's 5 pounds of that Romney fleece, 5 or 6 pounds of that in one of the other third boxes. Lovely grayish silver color. I have spun with Romney in fleece form like that. So, so yeah, after I got that, I'm like, okay, I don't even know how to make a dent into this. And I was kind of afraid to bring it into my studio space, uh, just with the whole thing of how old it is. Like I know she kept everything well. There were cedar chips and everything. She took good care of it, but you just always have to be careful. So I've kept it in the garage, away from my other fiber supply, and I just tackle it a little bit at a time. That's all I can do. Okay, I have two more mugs in this batch. Okay, I'm on this board. Five, one, two, just do one more. And then I need to take a break. So after the first few hiccups in our streaming this morning, well, this afternoon, it looks like things went fairly smooth. So fortunately, the video didn't stall. Well, I'm so glad you joined, Sarah. It was pleasure chatting with you and you watching me making mugs. I'm glad that was entertaining, and hopefully you'll join again, and hopefully I'll see you in person soon. You stay warm and enjoy your time with the grandchildren. I know it can be a lot of fun being a grandparent. My parents are on that high. I have to get to vacuuming now. Fair enough. I'm on my last mug anyway. I need to take a break as well. Thank you so much for joining in and thank you for the company. I'll finish this last mug and then I'm going to sign off as well. You have a great Christmas too. Yes, I'm glad the heat is back. But it is snowing. We are getting flurries today, so hopefully it won't be too cold outside. All right. The reason why I'm not doing that very last one is because I have no place left on my board. So I'm going to just stack this with the rest of the marks and tackle it later. A lot of in between projects here. All right. Take care, everyone. Pleasure seeing and chatting with everyone. I will see you all next time. And if I don't see you before Christmas, have a Merry Christmas. Bye.